Score trying to come in alone. Shoot. Score! He got it good! He got it good, baby! He wins it for the Lightning! 5-4 in overtime!
Taylor the shot. Redirected. Score! Game 7! Montana St. Louis! We are going back to Tampa Bay! Cavalier spinning. Cavalier looking. Trying to drop it off. Brings it in himself. Left it in the middle. Shot.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Thunderstruck with your host Philip Winterlich and your co-host Jake Ricker. What's going on, Jake?
Nothing much. How you doing today, Phil?
I'm doing great. It's Valentine's Day, so I hope everybody enjoyed their Valentine's Day. For those that didn't have a girlfriend or whatever, you can watch a hell of a hockey game today.
That's for sure.
We did beat up on the Dallas Stars today with a total of 6-0. I mean, kind of blew them out of water.
Yeah, who says we can't score goals anymore?
I know, right?
Yeah,
They're talking about the offense, kind of lackluster, but I mean, you can't complain when you score 6 goals against a decent team.
No, that was a great game all around by the Bolts. Everybody pitched in, everybody played well. They came out of the gate playing really well. Scored 4 goals in the first period. They scored 2 more in the second, and probably could have scored a couple more in the third, but played a little more relaxed and still didn't give the Stars any chances. Vasilevsky was once again absolutely stellar in this one, getting his 17th shutout as a Bolt, which, by the way, ties a franchise record with Ben Bishop. So he's now 1 shutout away from setting a new franchise record, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and that's pretty good company too. Same with Ben Bishop, who actually did not play in this game against Dallas. With Dallas. I think he was out on injury or something because I didn't see him on the bench. I didn't see him anywhere. So he must have been out on injury. It's always nice to see Ben Bishop face against his former team. But like you said, it's really good to know that he, meaning Vasilevsky there, has 17 shutouts. I mean, that's a lot in his young career already.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Bishop, by the way, he's on injured reserve still. He was in the area though. He was with the team. It sounds like he's going to be back very soon. So I think they're just giving him a couple more days of rest to get him back 100%. So he was having a fun time in Tampa though, talking and I think he went into the Lightning locker room as well, seeing a couple of the guys. I definitely miss Bishop. He was great to have around. But yeah, Vasi is still super young. He's still got such a long career ahead of him and already have 17 shutouts. It's just outstanding.
Yeah, and like I said many times before, I mean, Vasilevsky is definitely one of the best in the league. And like you said, it's only his third real year in the NHL. I mean, he was backing up Bishop for all that time. And now that he has the starter role, I mean, he's really filled out. And like I said, he's an elite goaltender. And there's no doubt about it.
I think that's something that's not talked about enough is that, Vasi was behind Bishop for, was it 2 years, I believe?
2 years.
Yeah, for 2 years. And, this is something that's debated in football a lot where a young quarterback comes in and people talk about whether they should sit behind one of the great quarterbacks that a team might have so they can learn. And I think Vasi kind of had that situation with Ben Bishop. Ben Bishop was obviously a great goaltender for the Lightning, set multiple franchise records. And I think Vasi learned a lot from Bishop. Vasi's obviously pretty good at playing the puck. And as we know, Bishop was one of the best at doing that in the NHL. So I think sitting behind Bishop for those couple of years really helped him out in his career. And we're seeing the results of that now.
Yeah, and I know you're a big Packers fan, so I mean, you saw that too. Going into football here. You saw that with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So it's just, it's not the same sport, but it's the same type of scenario.
Exactly. It's a similar situation.
Yeah. But going back into the game here, I mean, you had your stars really show up in this game. I mean, you had Stamkos with, let's see, he had 4 points in the night?
Kucherov had 4, Stamkos had 3.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, your stars are really showing up to play, and that's what you expect every night. I mean, we're going into the tail end of the season here, so going into the playoffs, I mean, you have to have your star performers performing, and tonight they really showed up. I know it's not a playoff game, but it's what you need to look forward to.
Oh, no doubt about it. You always want your stars to come up big for you. And they did that, and they've been doing that these last couple of nights, which is nice to see after, those couple of games where some Bolts fans got a little bit concerned. But this team is absolutely killing it. Also, shout out to Sergachev, who got his third goal this season. He's got such a good little snapshot, and it was a beautiful goal that he scored. So it was exciting to see him get on the board. Even Tyler Johnson got his 20th goal of the year. So good to see we got another 20-goal scorer on the team, and everybody just played really well.
Yeah, like I said, it's nice to have those 20-goal scorers or so on to really fill in your depth. I mean, speaking of depth, Tyler Johnson is a center. He's natural playing center, and now he's playing on the wing. So it's so much depth that you can't even play people in their natural position anymore.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic problem to have. I'm very happy that we're in that situation. But great game all around, fun to watch, and I hope this continues too, and I think it will.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like you said, it's nice to see Sergachev get on the score sheet as well. We talked about more of his defensive game because he's kind of switched gears a little bit this year. But seeing that offensive upside that he's scoring his third of the season, it's always nice to see that too.
Yeah, and he still had a couple assists on the year. He still has that offensive ability, which was what makes him that much better, is that he's been better defensively this year, but has, just like tonight, shown that he can still take a quick snapshot and put it in the back of the net if you're not ready for it. So actually awesome to see. So yeah, now we have Braden Point, Stamkos, Kucherov, and Johnson, who are all over 20 goals. And then Gord, Joseph, Killorn, and Sorelli all have over 10. So a lot of depth scoring on this team, and a lot of guys, continuing to get on a roll here.
Yeah, and like I said before, that's what you want to see out of your lineup. You don't want to always see your top guys performing, but you want to see your secondary people as well. But going back to here, I'm going to check out the other games. Okay, so our first game was a game that we announced our jerseys. We played the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we got back on the win column in this game. And, it's kind of a physical game again against the Penguins. It's like I said before, it's kind of interesting to see not only the offensive upside, but now getting into like little scrums or what have you. It's good to see them play the physical part as well.
Yeah, this is a very different Penguins team from last year, so they're definitely playing a lot more physical, and I'm happy that we have been able to keep up with the physicality because, we know the biggest thing for the Bolts last year was they didn't have the physicality to get into the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't think that's the case this year. I think it's very different. We've shown multiple times this year that we can play a physical game and win while doing it. So another great game from the Bolts. They've been scoring tons of goals, another 5 goals they got in that one. And that's a game where, the Bolts let up 4, which is a lot more than normal, but still put up enough to get the win in that one.
Yeah. Like you said, too, a lot of 4 goals. We saw that more in the beginning of the season. The goaltenders were having to make a lot more saves, and unfortunately, a lot more were going in. But now they're playing more of a defensive-style game, and it's been kind of the opposite. But going back to that third jersey there, what do you think about it?
I had mixed emotions about the third jersey. It's been interesting, I think, for Bolts fans because pretty much every team had released their third jersey by the start of this year, and Bolts fans have been waiting for this thing for a very long time. And if you remember, it got leaked a couple months back, and a lot of people I don't think were excited about it at all. And I personally was looking forward to a potential throwbacks which we didn't get. So for all the hype that these jerseys got, it was disappointing to me to get the ones that were originally leaked. However, they've grown on me a little bit. I'm still not a huge fan of them, but they're not terrible. I know what the theme was that they were trying to go for, but I think overall it went pretty well with Bolts fans. I believe they sold 500 on that first night they debuted them, so it seems like they're doing pretty good, which is always good to see for the team.
And with there were only 7 fans, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
But no, and that's the thing too. I really like. Okay, so I really like the actual jersey, but I'm not a big fan of the numbering. I don't get how like I don't get like the numbers on how like it's a gray outline on the back, but it's a solid gray on the side. Like, I mean, if you're gonna go with an outline, just go with the outline completely. I don't really like that part. And they said it's supposed to be like a pirate type theme. I mean, you don't see any skull and crossbones on there, so I don't really know there.
Well, I think the idea was to go is, when you think of an ominous storm coming in, you think of that dark sky with like a little bit of gray with the thunder. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was the idea for that, where it's that black and then it kind of fades to gray. It was that ominous storm look. I think that was the main idea they were going for, and it kind of relates to skull and crossbones color-wise, but I don't think that's a big part of it. But I think it was more that thunder theme, which is pretty cool when you think about it there, which is not too bad. The numbers I've definitely seen to be a little bit of a problem. They're not too bad in person to look at, but it seems like they don't show up as well on TV. I know that's been a big complaint about them, but overall though, I don't think they're terrible. They could have been better, but I think over the next couple of weeks here and months here, I think Bolts fans will get more used to them. I think they'll grow on some people like they did on me.
Yeah, and you were actually at that game where the jersey debuted, so you actually got some decent pictures out of the actual jersey. And unfortunately, like I said many times before, I live in California, so it's a little more difficult to see games. I will be out there in April, but it's maybe like you said, maybe it's something they have to see in person to really get a judgment on them.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely want to look at them in person. It's a whole different spectacle. I remember when the Lightning released we got the new sponsor, the NHL got the new sponsor for the jerseys, and the Lightning took away the little shoelaces on the front. A lot of people didn't like that, but then they saw those jerseys in person, and personally, I love these jerseys so much, our regular home ones. So I think you definitely have to see them in person to get a good look.
Yeah, and you know what? I haven't bought any. I bought a couple of Ducks Adidas ones, but I haven't bought any Tampa Bay yet. I'm thinking about buying actually this black jersey that we're talking about right now. But it's like you said, I gotta see it in person, and I'll get my judgment when I buy it. I can't not get something of my favorite team there.
Absolutely, yeah. But let us know what you guys think. Tell us your opinions and if you guys are thinking about getting ones yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing too. I mean, we have 500 people get on the first day, so we'd like to see, more people represent the team. We see these celebrities sometimes even rocking the jerseys when they come to Amalie Arena.
Oh yeah.
Stuff like that. So it's not only like it's not only a symbol of the team, but it's also a fashion statement. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Bruce Arians was out there. Titus O'Neil just got one, I think, recently. I think the people at NHL Network also got a couple of jerseys, so a bunch of big names out there got the new third jerseys, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and then the next game here, we played against the Florida Panthers, and we put up another 5 spot against them, winning 5-2. And I said the Lightning shocked the Cats because, they didn't really show up like I kind of expected it to be. I previewed the game, and I said nobody would show up, which they didn't. And we saw a lot more blue in there than he did red. But obviously, the Panthers there are not going to be a playoff team this year. But but you got to see Domingue in this one, and Domingue looked really good.
Yeah, Domingue played fantastic. I'm a huge fan of Domingue, as you guys may know. He's played very well for us in the backup role. He just set a franchise record. Speaking of goaltenders setting franchise record recently, for the most consecutive wins as a Lightning goaltender, which is pretty cool to see. So he has been absolutely fantastic being the backup behind Vasilevsky, and stepped up huge for us this year, obviously, when Vasi had gone down to injury earlier this year. But yeah, another great game by him. And yeah, the Panthers unfortunately just had a terrible season. There's nobody showing up to those games, which is a shame to see, honestly. This is our Florida rival, which, you would want to be a fun time with the in-state rivalry. But unfortunately, the Panthers are just a complete mess.
And the thing is that if you know Tampa, if you hear Florida, Tampa is one of those towns you're gonna say, hey, I know Tampa, and then if you look at the town or know the town, they're gonna be saying, oh, it's a Lightning town. But if you say Sunrise, you'd be like, where's that?
Exactly.
So it has to do with, I think it has to do with that too, but. They have really good pieces on that team, and like I said before in the previous show, if they add some superstars to their team, I think they're going to be even better, and hopefully it has a little bit more rivalry, because you want to see these rivalry games as well. It's always nice to see when you're watching the Penguins against the Flyers. It's a fun matchup. So you got to continue that rivalry.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. So hopefully the Panthers can turn it around very soon, and we'll start to see more of that in the future.
Yeah. And then the next game here was against the Calgary Flames, and we beat the Flames. I didn't think that we would be scoring that many goals against them compared to them. I thought that it would be a much closer game. It was, with the final score of 6-3, and considering the Flames have such good offensive upside, I thought it would be a much closer game.
No, yeah, no doubt about it. Dare I say, we extinguished the Flames. That was another great game for us. We've been playing so good as of late. The Flames were the number 3 team at the time that we played them. So, to beat the number 3 team 6-3 like that, that's pretty impressive, if you ask me. Another great game. All the offense showed up. Defense played really well. Shut down that high-powered offensive team. We've won in almost any situation you can think of, whether it's been a physical game, whether it's been a high-scoring game, or whether it's been a defensive game. So, really good to see this Bolts team on a roll.
Yeah, and that's like I said. Being a Bolts fan, that's what we want to see as well. You want to see those offensive games, and you want to eliminate those chances that they have scoring against us too. And we're in those games. The most goals we allowed was 4, so that's not too bad at all.
No, not at all. That's very good, and especially when you have a +5 goals in these last few games too. That makes it even better. So, I think this team was a little frustrated coming out of the break, it seemed like, which is why they struggled a little bit. But they're having a ton of fun now. I don't know, Phil, if you've seen the videos as of late, but the team was doing a 3-on-3 mini tournament after practice, and they were having a ton of fun. Callahan scored a goal, had a nice fun celly, and the team had a big celebration, big dog pile on Callahan, which is pretty cool. It's great to see players have fun like this when they're just dominating the rest of the NHL and constantly beating up on everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I know a year or so back, Andrew Ference mentioned that these teams shouldn't really focus on having fun with their teams and going out and partying and stuff like that. But that's how you kind of gain the camaraderie between your teammates. Like you said, the fun celly with Callahan finally getting on that score sheet, especially considering that he was labeled as a 13th man. It's fun to see that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I think there's a balance for everything. Obviously you don't want too much partying. There was a player, I can't remember who it was. I think it was a Columbus player who went out to a team party and ended up falling and hurt his thumb, and he's injured for a little while. So there's definitely a line between all that. But when you're the first team to 90 points, by the way, so we are now 15 points ahead of Toronto, who's the second place team currently, which is just absolutely insane. I mean, it's just not even close right now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Toronto got a win as well tonight against the Golden Knights. But, I mean, that's what you want to see their team keep winning, other teams lose. We want to get ahead in the standings there. And, I mean, we already know we're going to win the President's Trophy at the end of the season.
I sure hope so. We're on pace for 127 points this year, which is just absolutely insane. I think that's one of the best in recent years for sure. I know the record is 132, so we're a couple points off of the record, which would be pretty crazy to break if that does come to it, but we'll see what happens here. But if we do win the President's Trophy, though, there is what's talked about, the President's Trophy curse. You think that it might be a problem for us? I don't think so. I think we'll be all right, but
I don't think so either. My fiance is a diehard Ducks fan, and she even said, I think it's year this year. It's fun to watch. I mean, you mentioned this before. I mean, we have potentially the best team in the franchise history this year, and even though we won the Cup in 2004, and I mentioned this before, who knows, maybe we could play the Flames again.
That would be a very fun series to see that repeat itself, and especially if we wanted to. I think that would be even better. I would definitely be rooting for that. I think that's a series where you could also, kind of win too. So,
yeah, that's the main thing. I mean, you always want to win. You want to have a tendency of winning, and like I said before, you want to have a tendency of winning not only the regular season games but also the playoff games. And a bigger curse than the President's Trophy, I believe it's going to be the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah, very true. There's a lot of good teams in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, the Western Conference is also very good, but we'll definitely have some tough matchups right off the bat, no doubt about it. I think right now we're looking at playing the Pittsburgh Penguins if the playoffs ended today, which is not necessarily an easy first round matchup. So it'd be very interesting. You got likes of Washington being up there again, even the New York Islanders. I think your biggest threats for the Lightning, though, would be probably Washington, just because they beat us last year, and I don't know, maybe Toronto, Boston, depending on how we finish out the year against those guys, or Boston more specifically.
The Penguins kind of had a cruddy year. I mean, I guess they're on a wild card spot, but at the same time, it's the injury to Matt Murray, their starting goaltender, is a big one. I mean, you have Casey DeSmith who's playing behind him, but if he stays if Matt Murray stays healthy, then I think that it'll be a dangerous matchup in that first matchup, because the Pittsburgh Penguins in the regular season is a complete different team than it is in the postseason, and that's when it matters most.
Oh yeah, and I've said this time and time again. I think this year it's a matter of what Lightning team are we going to get. If the Lightning play the way they've been playing as of late, there's just going to be no stopping us.
Yeah, and and you mentioned about the West. If you look at the standings, though, the West has not actually been that great. In the top 10 teams, there's only 4 teams that are in the West. So, I mean, the East is more dominant this year, but I think that if we played against, it's kind of a crapshoot based on the West, and in the East, it's you're going to see the same similar teams rather than in the West. And an interesting one for me, though, is the New York Islanders and how they've been playing this year.
The Islanders have been playing really good. They'll be interesting. I think the difference between the West and the East here is the West is definitely a lot closer. I mean, even the Kings are separated by just 8 points from the Minnesota Wild, whereas in the East, it's Ottawa's at 47 and Pittsburgh's at 67, so 10 points there. Not too much, but there's definitely a little bit more of a gap, I think, in the East than there is in the West. But, we'll see. That time will come, obviously. We got to get through the season first.
Yeah, exactly. When you touched up, the next big event coming up is the trade deadline. And, Jake, I know I talked to you about this before. I kind of want to do a live show for the trade deadline. So if you guys can give us, some, I guess you could say, critiques on what we're doing this time, and kind of give us what you want to do, what you want to have us do for that trade deadline talk.
Yeah, that could be a fun one. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Lightning do and what Boyce, I can't say his last name, what he'll do as his first season as the Lightning GM. So I still have a feeling that they're going to sit quiet here at the deadline, but we'll see. Apparently a lot of the former Lightning legends like Vinny have been saying that Wayne Simmons would be a really good fit for this team, especially into the playoffs. So I think if anything, we're going to see Simmons come over here, but it's just hard to say, just especially with the way this team's been playing as of late. I don't know if you really want to shake this team up at all. Yeah.
And, like I mentioned before, it's the locker room, too. Right now we're having good chemistry. But, I think Simmons can kind of fit in any locker room. I've always heard good things about him. I saw him when he was in LA. Obviously, he's been in Philadelphia for a long time. But I think that he would be a good mix in there. But like I said, we don't necessarily need to add anybody.
I feel like it's just too risky to do it. That's why I'm hesitant on it. Because, you look at it, you have a couple options. You either sit still at the trade deadline and still have the same team that's currently on pace for 127 points, which is, I think, an NHL record in the cap era and one of the best ever in the NHL that we've seen in a long, long time. Or you add a guy like Wayne Simmons, for example, and make the team even better, or B, potentially shake up the locker room a little bit, shake up the chemistry, and may not be as good. You fall off a little bit. So, we're so good right now that all of those options wouldn't be a terrible thing, obviously. But I don't see a point in doing it. I really don't.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll definitely have a live show going for that one. And the final thing I want to do here is kind of preview the remaining matchups for the week. We're going to do a podcast right before the trade deadline regarding the Lightning as well. So looking at the upcoming matchups here, we got to play Montreal, who is a really good team. Kind of showing what he could have became in Tampa, but I really like that trait. But it's nice to see him flourish there too.
Yeah, this will be a fun game as Montreal has been playing well as of late. I still think this is a game where we are just so far above Montreal. This should be a game that we should win. We'll also be back in black again, as this is another Saturday game, so it'll be fun to see those jerseys back in action. But we'll see what happens. I think the Lightning got this one in the bag pretty easily though. But Montreal's they've been playing pretty decent as of late.
Yeah, and then the couple of the next matchups is actually a back-to-back on Monday and Tuesday. The first matchup there is the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think that obviously Andrei Vasilevsky would probably start in this one, considering the Blue Jackets are currently in a wild card spot. And then the following game, as I mentioned, is against the Flyers. We get to say Wayne Simmons firsthand and how he plays. So it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice to see that, and I think we'll probably have a few scouts there as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I think Vasi definitely is going to start against Columbus, and we'll probably see Domingue in Philly. That's definitely a bit of a tougher set of games there. Columbus is, they're a decent team. We've obviously played really well against them, but anytime you're on a back-to-back, it always makes things a little more difficult than they normally are. But we'll for sure have a bunch of scouts and a bunch of coaches as well. All the coaches there will have their eyes on Wayne Simmons and see how he plays to, kind of see what he could bring to the team potentially. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays, and if that has an effect on the trade deadline, if any.
Yeah, and then the following game is against the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo Sabres were a team that kind of got hot, but now they're really kind of simmered off.
Yeah, ever since we beat them, they've not been good.
Exactly. Maybe we broke the spell. I don't know. But that's a team too you should win against. But you do have some dangerous players there with Jack Eichel and players like that. So it's going to be an interesting one there, and that's going to be the last game until the trade deadline.
Yeah, it's coming up on us real fast, so I'm excited. This will be a fun stretch of games over these next couple of weeks. It'll be it'll be fun to see. Let's talk about Nikita Kucherov though. By the way, Phil, 92 points already, so he's killing it. He is now 7 points, if I'm not mistaken, above Patrick Kane as the point leader. He's had 11 points in his last 3 games, I believe. So he has gotten back on a hot streak after not playing so well over a couple of games there, but it's awesome to see him back on another great streak here.
Yeah, so I have a good question for you. What's going to hit 120 points first, the Tampa Bay Lightning or Nikita Kucherov?
I have to go with Nikita Kucherov just because it's a lot easier for Kucherov to gain a bunch of points in one game. Like, obviously, we saw Kuch get 4 points tonight. Lightning can only get 2 points at a time. And they're on pace for 127, so there's not that much room for error. So I would guess Kucherov. I think he can get there first.
Yeah, it was a poll question earlier today. That's why I kind of spun it into what I had to say, because there was a poll question today that said, who do you think to make it 90 points first? And do you think they do it in the same game? Well, we obviously did do it in the same game, and Nikita Kucherov got more than 90 points in this one.
Yep, I remember I voted that they would both do it, and sure enough, we did, which is great to see. A lot of Lightning players are actually up there. How about Braden Point, man? Can we just give props to him again? He is 7th in the league in points, and he's got 33 goals, which I believe is still second, if I'm not mistaken. If it would let me look here, please, NHL. Thank you. No, he's actually, he's 6th. He's tied. There's a 3-way tie for second. So, but still, nevertheless, still playing really well and really scoring the goal, or continuing to put the puck in the net. Yeah,
and unfortunately, like you said, he is third right now. The person that's in second right now is the team that we're going to see on Thursday, like I mentioned, it's the Buffalo Sabres, and that would be Jeff Skinner. It's going to be, and that's going to be an interesting one to see as well, kind of them seeing them go head to head in that game.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. I think last time Point had a couple of points in that game when they played Buffalo, and Skinner did not. So we'll see how Skinner fares against us this time. But Point's been doing really good as of late too, so I expect him to still be hot when we roll into that game.
Yeah, it's nice to see too, because like I mentioned about Basley being young. I mean, Braden Point, I believe this is only, like I mentioned before, is only his 3rd year as well. So I mean, he has a lot of room to grow too, and he's kind of in his prime right now. So
the next time we are on the podcast, we might have a couple of new big records being broken. There's Nikita Kucherov and Steven Stamkos are both getting very close to a couple of franchise records. Vinny's currently the point leader in a single season with 108, so that's not too far off for Kucherov at all. And then also the assist record for Brad Richards and Marty, who are both tied at 68. Kucherov has 66 assists. So in the next couple of days, I think Kucherov is going to be break 2 franchise records, which is really crazy and really exciting to see.
Yeah, and like you said, it's really exciting to see, because I mean, those are legends that played the game, and I think Nikita Kucherov and Steven Stamkos will be in the Hall of Fame someday too.
Absolutely. And I think Steven Stamkos, by the way, I think the record he is getting close to is the all-time goals leader, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right. One more thing, guys, before we go. Like I said before about the trade deadline, I kind of want to get your guys' input with the show. Unfortunately, and we kind of want to see like what your guys' reactions are. What we need to work on and improve on to make our show better, to give out to you guys so you enjoy listening to it.